So Vincent is a colleague of mine at S&T. He's the portfolio manager in the Cyber and Physical Security Division. He's overseeing the infrastructure protection portfolio, supporting the cybersecurity and infrastructure development. And he also manages our Mobile Security R&D program. So I will turn it over to Vincent.
So S&T's partnership with CISA. So I'm going to talk in two parts. And as my name is Vincent Sritapan, I work for the Department of Homeland Security Science and Technology Directorate. We're going to talk specifically about the partnership with CISA, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, and also the Mobile Security R&D program. And last but not least, the mobile network infrastructure. Essentially, we have a opportunity for research and development in this area. And I would say more than just listening to myself, you will hear folks like Kevin Briggs and Robert Dew speaking here. Those are very important folks as far as the customer, what their challenges are. So you'll hear that both from sort of a research side of the house, our philosophy and how we do business, but also what the real challenges are from a component DHS mission perspective. So next slide here. So first off, what is CISA and this partnership that we have? And I know this is a cleared older version, right? So there may be new versions of what CISA may look like going forward. But as you have seen, and some of you are probably very familiar with you would think about U.S. Cyber Command came out of Stratcom and became its own combatant command, right, in this case. Think of this as National Protection Programs Directorate coming out from under DHS and becoming its essentially equivalent, in this case CISA, right, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. This is essentially an equivalent, so Director Christopher Krebs is now Director for CISA, and this is essentially equivalent to like a FEMA, CBP, TSA equivalent. So there's a lot of maturity and growing pains with that. Definitely, I don't envy anybody. But at the same time, what it means for us is that their mission, not only is it important, it's been elevated, right? Where we work and who we support is primarily, you saw the org chart before. Myself and another colleague of mine, Chase Garwood, covers CISA and all of their R&D requirements and what we actually do going forward. So when you look at CISA, you look at everything from the emergency comms division, right? That's there. You think of things like SafeCom, think of working with public safety, wireless priority services. They sit as a board member for FirstNet as an example. So just when you think about mission-wise, you have others like the National Risk Management Center. Think of this as your risk analysis and what that means. So if you have a disaster somewhere, what are the first order, second order effects and what that means for us. Think about national critical functions. This comes out of there. If you heard things in the news related to 5G, information, communication, telecommunications, supply chain, that's the group, right? As you just understanding who is our customer, who are we looking to support. Additionally, you have others like the Cybersecurity Division. So you think of this as all the cyber that we might have. They're responsible for protecting the .gov. If you guys are familiar with Einstein or CDM at all, Continuous Diagnostics Mitigation. Yes, no, maybe? Maybe? Okay, so think of it as if you did DoD work before, you're familiar with this continuous monitoring, right? They just also added mitigation, but they're very large budget, very large responsibility of working across federal departments and agencies to secure the .gov space and different. Think of security compliance in that case, but they pay for it, so that's a real nice plus. Additionally, there is the Infrastructure Security Division. So think of this as areas where you talk about school safeties, public school safety. Think of different types of counter UAS concerns when you talk about stadiums and any public places, industrial control systems. But you're going to see a lot of this soft targets concerns in these areas that we support. So today we are very much partnered with many of these groups for CISA, but it's primarily around mobile network infrastructure. So I'm dual-hatted for both the portfolio, but also the program, right? So whatever we do, and you're going to see this new philosophy of, our approach is to ensure whatever research we're asking for you to do, is going to come with a customer, right? It's their need that we're trying to fulfill. It's not necessarily just because 5G is a big buzzword that we're trying to do that. That's definitely not the case. So definitely we want to talk about the Mobile Security R&D program, and I'll hit it at a high level. There are some brochures in the back which I'll talk about at a high level, but we'll do a video.
It seems every one of us has a phone in our pocket, a tablet on the table, or both. But let's be honest, how many of us actually know what's inside those devices and applications, or how secure our networks are? Mobile means access to information anytime, from anywhere, from any device. But who's thinking about mobile security? DHS S&T.
DHS S&T's Mobile Security R&D program's mission is really around accelerating the adoption of secure mobile technologies for the Homeland Security mission. We lead the federal mobile strategy across the government and Department of Defense.
That's a pretty tall order, because there are millions of devices used by government agencies. And if their information is compromised, we all have a problem.
In the mobile space, there are many parts to the puzzle. There is infrastructure, where we're working with commercial providers to try to help them improve that. There is the device itself, and then the applications and the software that runs on your phone.
Fortunately, S&T gets it. They literally wrote the book on improving mobile security for our entire government, and also provide the expertise to make a difference now.
The mission of FEMA is to help people before, during, and after the disaster. Mobility and the relationship between FEMA and S&T is vitally important. They have been a valued partner from a perspective of bringing us tools and technologies that are relevant and important to the way that we deliver our mission.
The DHS study on mobile device security is the Bible on the subject. We reference it constantly. One of the real-world successes that DHS S&T has helped us with is in the area of application vetting. That work has yielded 300% increase in our ability to vet apps.
By the way, S&T means science and technology. That's the only new acronym I'm going to throw at you, which is pretty impressive because we're talking government here. But even if you forget that, remember this: transition to operations. S&T's mission is to have the research they fund end up in available technologies that enable the Homeland Security mission.
The transition for us is very important. One of the examples we have is mobile security technology with CryptoWire.
DHS S&T was the first to recognize the move to mobility was important for the federal government and the commercial sector. With the help of DHS S&T, CryptoWire was able to analyze more than 10 million applications and use the results to inform agencies and even individuals.
They really are the champion for ensuring that we have better understanding of the vulnerabilities around mobile security, mobile architectures, the applications, as well as the right techniques to follow to ensure that the whole mobile environment is as secure as possible.
We are developing real-world solutions that people see every day. It impacts their lives from a security standpoint, and we're pretty excited about the fact that we do that, and it's important for our nation and our world.
Real-world solutions at work right here to protect all of us out there. DHS S&T, securing your cyber future.
Okay. All right, so I'll be quick because I was just checking time. So in the back of the room, you do have the Mobile Security R&D Guide Volume 2. So if you're interested into, what is our strategy, what are we working on, you can also get it online. But they are in the back of the room, and it covers what we're currently funding today and also new funding opportunities. So when you talk about the mobile network infrastructure, I'll be talking next. It's also in the guide, right? So just to note, we do cover mobile device security, right, application, and network infrastructure. So those are the 3 ticket items that we've been working on for some time and will continue to. So just for the sake of time, you can read it or look it up online, take a picture if you need to, but that's that. So our approach, and this is one of the things I'll foot stomp on really for everyone, especially folks that are interested to do, how do you do business with us? What does that mean? So keep in mind, we're not funding research for research's sake, right? There is a mission in mind. Our philosophy, and I'd say more towards my philosophy, is very much about not just doing R&D and being a program manager. As a program manager, right, we start, first off working with understanding what are the needs, what are those requirements. So we work with industry, we work with government, figuring out, well, does this already exist? Is this something that a gap that really needs to be filled? And once that's defined, you can start at the bottom and move up to figure out, well, now we solicit for research and development. We look to industry, research community, universities, big business, small business to tell us what are those ideas that you can talk about. How can you fill this solution? And at the same time, you're going to see it's not just tech, right? It's also you have to be a leader in the space where you're working on policy, you're working on different communities of practice to help move the needle forward. So you may find, well, I can make this really great widget, but what if the policy prohibits you from adoption, right? What if security compliance for that solution isn't there? This is where you're going to see us involved, impacting policy, leading, if you're familiar with a federal mobility group under FedCIO Council, you're going to see we're engaged with the community to understand what's going on and include them all the way across. So we'll take these R&D investments that we do with you, but we'll include our partners to help do piloting, help get adoption, right? So it's a cyclical thing, just one of our approaches. That's the key thing I hate about the program, and I got to go really fast. Okay, so the actual BAA, and the last slide is most important before we get to the more VIP speakers, is what I'd say. The first thing I'd note is what's the challenge, right? So if you think about telecommunications, your phone calls that you make today, we have them for various mission purposes. You pick, right? First responder, you name it. The three areas that I'd like to harp on, and this is just over and over in the slide deck, is first off, current and legacy protocol vulnerabilities, challenges, whatever you want to call them, right? So think of things like signaling system 7, think of things like diameter. You can go read the CISA report that's out there, understand what the challenges then there today from the core or the RAN, look at certain pieces of you've seen supply chain in the news, that's a challenge, right? We're looking to tackle parts of that, and I'll explain. The other one is the new opportunities in 5G, right? It's really, in this case, I can tell you, it's an evolution of telecommunication. It is not a revolution. It is gonna change our world, but it's built off of the same core infrastructure that exists today. It's not like we just swap it out, right? So keep that in mind. But there's opportunities in virtualization, there's opportunities in network slicing, there's a lot there that we can talk about. And then the last one is network, mobile network traffic visibility and management for the enterprise, which I'll go into more detail. This is more on things that we can control, not necessarily carrier based, but that is a challenge today if you ask any large enterprise. You have mobile devices that are issued to your employees, whether government, state, or private industry. You ask a simple question, do you monitor and see all the traffic that goes through that phone? Chances are no. In government, do we have requirements that make that in place? The answer is yes. But do we do that? Maybe, right? And so let's keep talking. Some of the security challenges you can see in the press, this is old. We've been working on this to provide you this new topic area probably for close to 2 years, to be honest, right? Pace of government, things take time, but luckily we are here today to tell you about it. Additionally, the enterprise challenge and the problem, and I can give you an easy example, right? If you think of this today, everybody has, a laptop and that you have. In the federal government, we have what's called the Trusted Internet Connection. It's a requirement that we have to follow. It means in our laptop, we have a virtual private network, a VPN, that encrypts everything and tunnels it back. And on the back end, we have some kind of intrusion detection, intrusion prevention system to filter that traffic. In mobile, we don't do that today. When we looked into this problem, some of you say, well, there are certain technologies out there today, right? Well, we looked at this and said, well, hey, let's just turn on a VPN on the phone. It's not a new technology, let's do it. Well, the truth was, when we did that and we looked at this and we tried to send everything back to our data center, the data center would die. It can't handle the sheer bandwidth, right? That's the first problem. The second problem is if we have this other thing called MTIPS. Think of it as a managed service provider. So if you've ever had a denial of service happen at your enterprise and you pay by the bandwidth, what happens after a DDoS that you survived? usually get a really big check, like a bill that you have to pay, in one night, which would normally be 6-9 months worth of bills. So mobile would blow up, what we actually can do, right? We're not used to it. So just the scalability, the reliability, those types of things are things we need to work on. It's more of a near-term 1 to 2 year problem that we think we can tackle. So network-based risk, so everything where you see a star, just for the sake of time, is where we're looking to apply research and development. I can tell you, if you're not familiar, and at the last slide will include the broad agency announcement where all the slides are posted. So if you missed a slide, you're like, hey, I wanted to go back and see what was posted, it's going to be on there, okay? Just for timing purposes. Okay, I got really fast. All right, so let me just get to, these are the 3 areas we're going to focus on right here as I talked about, and the slides again will be made available. I want to give time for Q&A, but the last slide, which is right here. All right, I was worried about slides. But okay, so the last slide is the broad agency announcement call. So if you go to FedBiz Ops and you go search for this, that's the number underlined in bold that you need to go put in to search for it. You're going to see everything from slides that we've presented in our industry day in the past to the topic itself, right? And so I would read very, very carefully, right? So everything from compliance things like page number, right? Don't go over the page count because you'll get disqualified. To what is needed for you to apply. You actually have to apply in the system. And the thing that I would announce to the group and everyone else is that, This is actually extended until the end of July. So if you're looking for, one thing I'll note is that this is a full proposal. So if you have technologies in different areas, you're going to hear the different speakers talk about their challenges. It's their challenges that we're looking to solve, and so that it's not about what Vincent wants or my boss wants necessarily. It's about what CISA's mission is, right? So in the 3 technical topic areas, whether you're looking at current and legacy protocol vulnerabilities, or you're looking at new opportunities in 5G, or you're looking at enterprise mobile network traffic inspection management, those are the 3 areas in which we're looking for applied research and development, in this area. So the 3 technical topic areas, you can see the dollar limit ceilings that we recommend. They're not hard, just to be clear, they're not necessarily hard and fast. This is all you have. But keep in mind, this is what we recommend, right? So 1 to 3 year projects are what we're looking at, and it's how are you solving CISA's challenge is what I'd say. So I'm getting told to do Q&A, and maybe I'll get more Q&A, but we'll see, maybe not. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could just clarify the current. Sorry about that. I was wondering if you could maybe clarify some of your current and anticipated level of engagement with mobile network operators, existing operators today. Obviously, network security requires, maybe some, level of integration with those networks. Right?
Yeah, so we do highly encourage teaming. We don't recommend, hey, small businesses are great. I definitely agree with that. But we recommend teaming with either an OEM, a carrier, or each other to figure out where that fits, because it's very important to not just pitch a great idea, but figure out a transition path going forward. Our engagements with CISA and others include the ICT task force. So they have a direct line to things like CTIA Wireless Association with all the carriers, OEMs. We also have in the Federal Mobility Group one of the 4 sub-pillars that includes 5G and mobile network infrastructure, where we're looking to see where are the various test beds that you're seeing, Verizon, X company, I don't want to say carrier, but certain carriers invest in certain areas, and where does it make sense for the government to partner? We have various use cases, and I can tell you, although, we're putting in X, millions of dollars into it, DoD's putting even more, so we have collaboration throughout, so that helps a little bit. Other questions? Go ahead.
What's the take on 5G health
Okay, so just to repeat the question in case you didn't hear, it was easy. What are the health implications for 5G and where do we see that? So I would say and defer to the FCC. I know they have certain reports and there's certain things that have to be tested and proven out by the carriers before they can actually go to production. This is something we've looked at as far as just an interest and inquiry. This is not something I've seen any investment in across us or DoD, to be honest. We literally meet every week almost. So I would say from a health perspective, there has been concerns. You know, you're talking about different form. It's beam forming right now, right? Is my head going to go real hot and explode kind of deal, or am I going to have any kind of defects? This is a concern, right? But at the same time, we do follow in line with FCC. There are studies that have been published and are being done in order to determine that. I know the last study was in specifically for 3G, so that's older. But as you look at 5G, in order for it to come online, it does have to abide by those guidelines. So. Okay, and Kevin's smarter than me on this one, so he will, and in general, so he can talk about all that, right? Other questions? Go ahead. Got two? Yeah, go for it.
So do you have any ongoing projects that you can talk about detecting cell site simulators or IMSI catchers around sensitive like government locations?
Not that I can talk about, yeah, no. Unfortunately not. Other question?
So we're going to submit a proposal, and but we're going to do it by ourselves. But are you planning on potentially teaming up companies like us after we win the proposal with a larger operation?
Yeah, so that depends. It really depends on what's being proposed. So keep in mind, so if you were applying to TTA 1 or 2, it's more carrier-based, right? Versus you're applying to TTA 3, the teaming is going to be way different, right? When I think about carrier versus, more enterprise networks, that's a different type of teaming. You may not need carriers in OEM. So depending on your TTA, I would definitely say we will engage with the customer or customers, various stakeholders that will, it just depends is the easy answer. Okay. Other questions? Save all the hard ones for the other two speakers. That's the way to go. All right. So I think that's it. So please, if you do have questions, for those of you who try to email me directly about the BA and others, I can tell you we won't be able to answer per procurement office. You have the bottom email address there that you can answer any questions. Anything Q&A that was asked before does go on the website. It's all recorded for compliance and fairness. Okay, so I'll give it back to Megan, and we'll go from there.